Part of the reason why I follow the Super Mario World ROM hacking community is because I'm consistently blown away by what people come up with. It feels like every time I think I've seen all there is to see, someone comes up with something that completely changes my perspective on what you can do with this engine. It's very easy for me to see all this and think, well, why can't Nintendo do the same? And when you put it that way, yeah. Take New Super Mario World 2, for example, which is a great hack that I've been playing through recently, and put it side by side with the original Super Mario World. The sheer scope and attention to detail in New Super Mario World 2 makes the original source material look pretty pathetic. But why is that? How are fans able to put a company as big as Nintendo's work to shame like this? Well now, let's take a look at the gap between the release of Super Mario World and the release of New Super Mario World 2. Almost 3 decades. When accounting for the time difference between the two projects, both of them become impressive in their own right. Newer Super Mario Bros. Wii blows its source material out of the water. If the original NSMB is Super Mario Bros. 3, the newer Wii is Super Mario World. The fact that this hack came out in only 4 years shows just how much more they could have done with the original. To me, Newer's biggest strength is how interconnected it is. The developers made an entirely new world map engine that allowed for much more freedom in how levels were placed, and this allowed them to expand the locations to much crazier heights, at the cost of the map screen being rendered in 2D instead of 3D. No longer are the worlds their own separate screens glued together by a menu. In Newer, you can walk from the first level of the game to the final level. Sure, you could do the same thing in the Wii U game, but there was no sense of discovery. In Newer, you'll be in World 3 and see levels that you can't reach off to the side and think, I wonder how I can get there. The depth of secrets in this game is something we haven't really seen since World. This island I'm exploring is an interesting place, and I want to see everything it has to offer. So when it teases me with things off the main path, it excites me. One thing that's always bothered me about 2D Mario is the way you're rewarded for finding secrets. Star coins are a great incentive for players who want to see everything the game has to offer, and I think they're pretty easily avoided for players who don't care, so overall they're a good addition. What bothers me is the player's reward for finding secret exits, which is mostly just the opportunity to skip parts of the game. Aside from this making speedruns a lot easier, it's always felt a bit counterintuitive. Like, if a player enjoys to scour every level for secrets, then why reward the player by showing them less of the game? This issue is actually fixed in 2 very clever ways in Newer, through the use of Switch Palaces and bonus worlds. Switch Palaces are nice because you're not going to be bypassing any stages by hitting them, but they will make your lives in the upcoming stages easier. And in a lot of cases, they can help you find secrets too, so in my opinion, it's a cool trade-off. Then, instead of random world skips, Newer secret exits will sometimes take you to entirely different worlds, which feeds back into that sense of discovery. Both of these rewards make me actually want to find secret exits, because they feel like rewards and not remnants of days where you couldn't save your progress in games. But exploring would mean nothing if this mod's theming wasn't worth being explored. In pretty much every new Soup game, the levels in each world are very strictly limited to the bare-bones theme of the world. The only way to tell most of the levels in any given world apart is by pure level design, which leaves a lot to be desired. To prove my point, let's compare World 1s from both new and newer Wii. In the original, World 1 contains 3 basic grassland levels without any distinguishing visual features: an underwater level, a sky level, and an underground level. Each theme here can be described with a single word. Newer, on the other hand, contains a beach, light forest area, dense swamp, abandoned temple, a very unsafe looking bridge. You go inside a tree, and this is just the first world of this game. Admittedly though, not every world reaches heights this high, and it's very easy to see the contrast between the areas that the designers had a lot of ideas for versus the areas where the designers just didn't. Newer team had a clear goal of making sure this hack lasted a long time, so these worlds are much bigger than anything we've seen in a mainline Mario game, which is fine, but when they didn't have enough level design ideas in a given world, it leads to these long droughts of empty filler stages. At their worst, these stages are just boring and uninspired. Nothing truly offensive like the millions of dark levels the original game felt the need to cram into our faces. But when multiple boring stages are strung together, it really begins to feel like a drag. The worst offender is World 4, because aside from a few custom enemies, this world does not have a lot of new mechanics going for it. So over half of these levels feel like collages of never-ending filler. Even then, the theming remains fantastic, so at least you're given something cool to look at while you're bored. Honestly, a good way to describe the level design in this game is having extremely high highs and very low lows. I would say about 50% of these levels are fantastic, far exceeding anything the original had in terms of creativity. And then 25% of them are just okay, nothing mind-blowing, nothing too terrible. But that final 25% of stages can be pretty bad. At the time, I can see how some may have been passable, but they really show their age nowadays. To wrap this video up, here are a few of my favorite things about this game. Before I go on though, just a quick spoiler warning. While a spoiler tag may not seem necessary, I promise this game has some good moments that are best discovered on your own. But with that out of the way, here we go. World 8 feels like one giant reference to Mario 3 with tank levels, fast-moving airships, and millions of sub-areas. Seriously, this whole world is just an adventure, probably one of my favorite worlds in any Mario game. Each world has a custom boss, which feels straight out of the DS game. The shop in the space world is called Starbucks, which is cute. The music is a mix of original pieces and remixes, and the originals are so well done that I had to check and make sure they were actually original. I especially like the map music, which seamlessly changes world to world by keeping a consistent bongo beat. Pipeline Tower looks so stupid it's funny. Going to space was a well done surprise that managed to feel like a big reveal even though it was just an overworld event. I'd also like to point out here that the low gravity physics are somehow less broken here than they are in Mario Maker. Mini Mega Island's map music is hilarious, just listen to this. Eight years later, Newer Wii is still one of the most impressive ROM hacks we've ever gotten. It kinda makes the other 4 games in the series look a bit underwhelming in comparison. And the future looks bright for this modding community, especially with the announcement of Newer Plus. This game is such a fantastic experience, which is why it makes me excited to see what Newer Team can do with just a bit more knowledge. But until then, just download the game. It's like 10 hours long if you go for 100%.
Oh shit!